about wireless communications. So, yes, in 2005, April 4, my previous boss was elected. Yes. This is Via della Conciliazione, and this was waiting for the announcement of Pope Benedict. Then, 2013, my current boss was elected, Pope Francis, and this is the difference. Same view, same street, very different. Now think of it, if all these terminals here were used to actually transmit the camera right away into the network, then we would have 5 or 10 megabits per second times 100 times 20, 1,000, which means we need a very high data rate, which is not available today. You see here two cell phones, one here, one here. They're used to actually communicate, to text back and forth. Here, these are more like cameras, and some of it is actually uploaded into the network, right? So if you look at today's networks, typically the amount of data that we download is 6 times higher than what we upload. But if you go into a stadium, it's the opposite way around, because everybody wants to post their nice photo onto Facebook of some famous soccer player or whatever. Which means, if we translate this in terms of data rate, and the red line is cellular, we started out with 9.6 kilobits per second GPRS in 1995, and then went up to edge, and further technologies all the way up here, and then to a high data rate, GPRS 54 kilobits per second, and then to edge, and then up, and now we are talking about these data here. What we see with LTE Advanced, with 4.5G, that is going to be launched in 2 weeks in Turkey, we get a couple hundred megabits per second, or above 100 megabits per second. But this is not enough for making the vision happen on the previous slide. So we need higher data rates. There's typically a factor of 100 difference between wireless LAN and cellular. And what we see is typically about every 5 years, another 10 times faster data rate. This means doubling every 18 months. Doubling every 18 months is Moore's law. If you've heard of Moore's law, this is what semiconductor technology gives us. Which means only a couple years from now, in 2025, we need already 1 terabit per second on Wi-Fi, or 10 gigabits per second on cell. And this cannot be done with 4G. So we need 5G. Every 10 years we have a new generation. This was 2G. 10 years later this is 3G. 10 years later this is 4G. And somewhere here 5G is going to start. And in the 10 years time here we're going to be in the middle of 5G. Maybe we talk about 5.5G. And then 6G is going to be sometime in 2030. So what I tried to show you on the previous slide is that it is not about just being able to say we don't need the data rate. The data rate is so slow today, we desperately need higher bandwidth. Yes, think of it. If you take, like here, a video of this event, and then you want to send this as an email attachment, doesn't work. Yes, we have upload platforms, Dropbox, Google Docs, whatever, all exactly for that reason. So, how do we look at this? This is one axis where we are driving innovation, which is driving here into massive content. Data rates higher and being higher and higher, going to 10 gigabits per second in 5G, 1 terabit per second in 6G. Now the question is this everything? And so 8 years ago, I sat down and tried to find out, is there something we are not having in cellular today. And it turns out, yes, we do not address this part yet, which is called massive sensor. Now think of it this way. I have this device. It communicates with this device. I have to plug in something else. I lose this. I don't find it. You have keys. Yes, you lose your keys. You don't find them. You lose your laptop. Your phone is turned off. You don't find it. That happens every day. As humans, we would like to know we want to do three things. One thing is we want to measure everything and collect. We want to measure the temperature, our power consumption at home. We want to measure anything. The second thing we want to do is we want to switch things on and off. Like our phone is turned off, we don't find it, we want to switch it on. So that we can call it switch on lights on and off. Switch on whatever, your iron at home on and off when you leave it there. And the third thing that we want to do big time is we want to track things. Find them. Yes, where is it? My keys, my phone, the purse, the handbag, whatever, wallet. And for this, we developed the whole concept here and then drove the industry together with Vodafone Group R&D. And the Vodafone Group R&D head, Luke Ibbotson, that is my contact point within Vodafone, who's in Newbury, England. He is basically now the narrowband IoT head, running the IoT forum. The whole idea is that we build a system so that we can send little packets into the network. Your shoes can be connected, anything, without needing Bluetooth, without needing Zigbee, whatever, directly to the cellular network, running off a AAA battery for 10 years, just transmitting bits whenever needed. So that is very cool. This is happening now. The standard is being finalized today in the 3GPP standardization meeting. It will be ratified in June. It's called narrowband LTE. It is about 10 times less performant than what we need, but it's already very good. And in 5G, we will have this kind of numbers. Then we really can connect everything. At very low data rate. So this is different. This is very high data rate. 2, 3, 4 devices per human being. This is very low data rate. Maybe 100 devices, 1,000 devices per person. Here we can charge the battery every day. Here we want to charge the battery once every 10 years. Very different. But there's a third axis, and I will talk about that in a second, which is also super interesting, and this will change our planet all the way. On these two topics, I showed you the slide with some startups. We started the company Ares here in downtown Dresden, with more than 20 people already working on this, and close to 30 people come solid working on that. This is how we work on things. Yes, we like to come up with ideas, we know what the market is going for, and then we start a company, we get smart young engineers to join, and then try to create also a whole environment around. Now let me talk about that 1 millisecond range. So 6 years ago, or 6.5 years ago, I was on sabbatical in Berkeley, in California. And I was sitting there and thinking, now I don't have a cell phone with me, sorry, but I was thinking, if I look at the phone, what is this? Yes, if we as human beings communicate, what can we do that is better than what we have already? Is there something completely lost or missing? And it turns out that there is something missing, and I was talking then to physiologists, to psychologists, and then the other people. This is when I hold this device up and I move it. My eyes see this. And my eyes want to see this at a reaction time of 1 millisecond. If it's less than 1 millisecond, you move this, it's awkward. You notice that if you put virtual reality goggles on, then you move your head, and the display moves with more than 1 millisecond delay, you get sick to your stomach. Yes? Seasickness is called on the boat. Cyber sickness is what we call it. So really, as human beings, if we move things, we want to see them in milliseconds. So tactile visual interaction speed is 1 millisecond. If we feel it, it turns out we also need a reaction in 1 millisecond. However, if we talk, it's 100 milliseconds. Now let's understand that from biology point of view. So when I talk to you, I'm now 3 meters away. So 3 meters means my voice takes some time to reach your ears because acoustic waves take some time. We know that. That's 10 milliseconds. So that means when we stand 30 meters apart, we still can talk naturally, and that is 100 millisecond latency, 100 millisecond delay. So if we stand on the hallway 30 meters apart, we can talk. You can fall into my words, you can interrupt me, you can start talking, and I interrupt you, let's talk. And this is what today's telephony is based on, 100 millisecond delay. If you have a bad Skype connection, yes, you know that, then you have it takes time, walkie-talkie mode. But 100 milliseconds is good enough. However, if I throw this object to you, it travels at 1 meter per second, at 10 meters per second, sorry. So 1 centimeter per millisecond, you have to catch it within 1 centimeter exactness, otherwise it looks off. And so we have to go from a world where in LTE we have typically 50 milliseconds reaction time over the network, down to 1 millisecond if we want to make the network more human. And if we want to do completely new things. These guys know this, the gamers. They do game parties. Why do they do game parties? Because if they could not touch an object and move it around, but on the screen, they need 10 milliseconds only, not 1 millisecond. But what is the problem? The problem is speed of light is slow. Yes. So why that is, we don't know. Yes. The speed of light is limited to only 300 kilometers per millisecond. Which means that these gamers have to have a reaction time of 10 milliseconds. This is the click and bang interaction. And if you want 10 milliseconds reaction time, you have to be connected with a cable that is less than 3,000 kilometers. You take the electronics of the PC into account, and suddenly we need game parties like this, otherwise it cannot game. So gaming between here and Istanbul is no fun. Let's have a look at this. So we did this experiment exactly with throwing an object, in our case a ball. We took an Oculus, this is my dear friend and colleague Franz Fitzek. We mounted 2 cameras here, and these 2 cameras are displayed into the left and right part. And then we throw a ball, and you see the person has to catch this with the whole body because of the latency. Now we ramp up the latency to beyond 150 milliseconds, which means what? Yes, more than 1 meter 50 displacement, there you see it, right? That's what happens. Now we take this down to 5 milliseconds, and you see this is the minimum we can do here. And it takes, yes, you catch it, but with 5 centimeter displacement. So that's fascinating for me. Yes, looking at biology, what do we do? At physiology, and then finding out what can we engineers do with it. Which means, let's take this to the one first application where we can live with some latency, more than 1 millisecond, but also this interaction is important. Preview and video. It will change the way we do sports events, watch things, anything. Some people, like Sony for example, when they give a 5G talk, they talk about super high definition cameras, high data rates, and I say, so what? Yes? Because here is my camera, I can zoom. I could zoom already with old cameras, not a big deal. But here is another camera. So what if I connected these two cameras to one rendering engine? I can actually take these two camera points of view and calculate the point of view between these 2 points. Anywhere between them, I can so-called interpolate them. This is called digital rendering. Yes? So that means if I take 80,000 cameras, I can say, I want to see the soccer game from this point of view. Boom. Or I can say, I want to see the soccer game from this point of view. This guy. He does not have to carry a GoPro. I just take some cameras around here, connect them to the rendering engine, and off I get exactly the red guy. Yes, into my display. I see it on the point of view. Now this is a different level of excitement. Yes, if you've watched Formula 1 car racing 20 years ago, it was very boring. If you watch it with the head-mounted cameras, it is exciting. Even more so if you watch downhill mountain biking. Yes, I get sweaty hands if I see them going down there like crazy. Yes, it's really fascinating. And if you say I want to be the ball, then I'm hammered at 200 kilometers per hour over the field. Complete new level of excitement of interest. For this, if I see this in real time, I need about a latency of 10 milliseconds. That gives you an idea, so it doesn't have to be 1 millisecond for everything, because here we're just watching both views. But if I move an object myself, here I'm watching a moving object. If I move an object, it has to be 1 millisecond. Another example. Not with human beings, cars. Today we have electronic stability control. What does this do? We have wheels here, they are connected, so that if the car goes around the corner, it does not start spinning around, right? What is this happening? There's a resonance buildup. You have gravel on the one wheel, back asphalt on the other wheel. The resonance buildup, and you have to counter this. You have to counter this by sampling 10 times faster than the resonance buildup. And if you look at the resonance buildup, the frequency of this with 3 meter distance is 50 Hertz, which means we have to sample at 500 Hertz, and that makes it 2 milliseconds. Every 2 milliseconds, the control system has to synchronize, otherwise the car starts crashing. If you have a small car, it's 1 millisecond. If we tomorrow want to have, however, more efficient downtowns, just think of downtown Istanbul and the traffic. Yes? We want more efficient downtown traffic, then we want to build platoons, cars that are connected with each other, not physically, electronically, very dense, so that we can move a whole train of cars around, a platoon of cars, or convoys. If this car, however, currently is driving in front of you, you drive the car, you cannot be too close, right? Why not? You want to be far enough apart so that you do not notice when the car in front of you is accelerating and slowing down. Because if you're sitting in the car, continuously you play with the accelerator, you go faster, slower, so that it seems like a constant speed, but it's not quite constant. The person behind you does the same thing, this person does the same thing. Now what happens is if you're too close, suddenly you notice this guy is slowing down while you are speeding up. And then you overreact, you slam the brakes. This guy may overreact, and then you get a traffic jam. Yes, this is the real physical explanation why we have traffic jams. Because we as people are what we in physics call a second order system, like a swing, swinging back and forth. We swing back and forth, faster, slower, faster, slower, faster, slower, completely independent. If we're too close, we're dependent, then we start. Now if we have electronic stability control at 1 to 2 milliseconds, and these cars are very close, we have to make sure that all cars are connected. We cannot have these separate, otherwise we get chaos. Let's have a look at how we can do it, either car to car or with an infrastructure. This is of course much better, because if we have car to car, then the Renault will tell the BMW what to do. That will not work. Yes, so we need an infrastructure-based solution for this. To show you that this really happens in real life, I show you this video. So we had 9th grade high school students come to our place for 2 weeks. They put together this Lego Mindstorm robot, and we programmed it such that they are exactly at the distance that it seems okay, but this is at the distance of stability at this speed. Okay, so you see they follow this track, they have cameras, they follow the black line, everything is in order, and everything is nice. Now suddenly there's a cardboard box in the way, so the first one has to stop. The second one stops as well, we goes back and forth, and now we see what happens, and this is what happens if you let Teslas or Google cars run efficiently. Not so nice.